Picture this: a world where humans as we know them, Homo sapiens, aren't the only ones who made it. A world where other human species, our long-lost cousins, still walk the earth alongside us. Sounds like science fiction, right? But what if I told you that tens of thousands of years ago, this wasn't just possible, it was reality? Welcome to a story that'll make you rethink everything you know about humanity's past. This is the hidden truth about the other humans who almost survived. So, grab a seat and let's dive into a mystery that's been buried for millennia. Let's start at the beginning, way back, hundreds of thousands of years ago, when the Earth was a wild, untamed place. Prehistoric landscapes were dotted with creatures that would make your jaw drop, and among them were multiple species of humans, not just us, Homo sapiens, but others like neanderthals, denisovans, and even the mysterious Homo erectus. These weren't apes or distant primates, they were human species, with brains, tools, and maybe even dreams not so different from ours. Can you imagine what it must have been like? Different kinds of humans, living side by side, competing, maybe even cooperating, in a world that was anything but forgiving. First up, let's talk about the Neanderthals. You've probably heard of them. Stocky, tough-as-nails humans built for the cold. They roamed Europe and parts of Asia for over 300,000 years, hunting mammoths, crafting stone tools, and even burying their dead with care. That's right, Neanderthals had rituals, maybe even a sense of spirituality. Scientists have found their graves, sometimes with flowers, suggesting they mourned their loved ones. How's that for human? But here's the kicker. Neanderthals didn't just vanish into thin air. Their DNA lives on, inside us. If you have European or Asian ancestry, about 1 to 2% of your DNA could be Neanderthal. So, in a way, they did survive, just not in the way you might expect. But what about the others? Enter the Denisovans, a shadowy group we know less about. Discovered only in 2010, from a single finger bone and a few teeth in a Siberian cave, these guys are like the ghosts of human history. We know they lived across Asia, maybe even as far as Australia, and their DNA shows up in modern populations like the indigenous peoples of Oceania. Here's where it gets wild. Denisovans and Neanderthals interbred with each other, and with early Homo sapiens. That's right, our ancestors weren't exactly picky about their partners. These ancient meetups weren't just fleeting, they shaped who we are today, giving us genes that helped us adapt to high altitudes or fight off diseases. So, why did these other humans disappear while we kept going? Let's pause for a second. Imagine you're a Homo sapiens, 40,000 years ago, standing on a windswept plain. You've got basic tools, maybe a spear, and you're facing a world where other human species are out there, hunting, surviving, maybe even watching you. Were they friends? Rivals? Something else entirely? The truth is, we don't know exactly how these species interacted, but the evidence suggests it wasn't always peaceful. Some scientists think competition for resources, food, shelter, territory played a big role. Others point to climate change, which reshaped the Earth in ways that favored our adaptability. But there's a darker theory, one that's hard to shake. Did Homo sapiens play a role in wiping them out? Now, don't get me wrong, there's no smoking gun proving we were the bad guys. But archaeological evidence shows that as Homo sapiens spread across Europe and Asia, other human species started to vanish. Coincidence? Maybe. Neanderthals, for example, were thriving until about 40,000 years ago, right when our ancestors showed up in their territory. Some studies suggest we might have outcompeted them for food, or even fought them directly. And here's a chilling thought. Our ancestors might have had a secret weapon. Better communication. Homo sapiens likely had more complex language. which could have helped us organize, plan, and outsmart the others. Imagine being a Neanderthal, strong as an ox, but facing a group of sapiens who could strategize like nobody's business. Tough odds, right? But it wasn't just competition. Let's talk about love, or at least ancient hookups. The fact that Neanderthal and Denisovan DNA is in our genes means there was mixing, not just fighting. Picture a campfire, maybe 50,000 years ago, where a sapiens and a Neanderthal share a meal, maybe a laugh, and, well, you get the idea. These moments of connection weren't just romantic, they were evolutionary game changers. Those hybrid kids, they carried genes that gave them an edge, like stronger immune systems. So, in a way, the other humans didn't fully disappear. They became part of us. Isn't that mind-blowing? We're walking mosaics of ancient human stories. Now let's zoom out. What if things had gone differently? What if Neanderthals, or Denisovans, had outlasted us? Picture a world where Homo sapiens didn't dominate, where Neanderthals built cities, or Denisovans sailed across oceans. It's not as far-fetched as it sounds. Neanderthals had larger brains than us in some ways, and they were masters of survival in harsh climates. Denisovans, meanwhile, adapted to environments we're still piecing together. So why us? Why did Homo sapiens become the last one standing? One theory is our adaptability. Homo sapiens were like the Swiss Army knives of early humans, versatile, quick to innovate, and able to spread across every corner of the globe. From scorching deserts to icy tundras, we figured out how to make it work. We invented better tools, like needles for sewing clothes, and we built social networks that let us share knowledge across generations. Neanderthals and Denisovans, they were tough, but maybe not as flexible. When the climate shifted or resources dried up, we kept going while they struggled. But there's another piece to this puzzle, and it's a bit of a mystery. Some scientists think disease played a role. As Homo sapiens migrated out of Africa, we might have brought pathogens that other humans had no immunity against. Think of it like an ancient version of a cold wiping out a village. It's not a fun thought, but it's possible. And then there's the question of numbers. Homo sapiens likely had larger populations, which meant more hands to hunt, gather, and innovate. Over time, sheer numbers could have tipped the scales. So, what's the hidden truth? It's this. We weren't destined to be the only survivors. The story of human evolution isn't a straight line. It's a tangled web of chance, competition, and connection. Neanderthals, Denisovans, and others didn't just vanish. They left their mark on us, in our DNA, our history, and maybe even our imagination. Every time you look in the mirror, you're seeing a piece of them, a whisper of a world where we weren't alone. Before we wrap up, let's think about one last thing. What if we find more evidence of these lost humans? Just in the last decade, we've uncovered Denisovans and even hints of other mystery species, like the ghost populations in our DNA. What else is out there, waiting to be found? Maybe the next discovery will rewrite the story of who we are. If that sounds exciting, hit that like button and let me know in the comments. Which ancient human species do you want to learn more about? Neanderthals? Denisovans? Or something we haven't even discovered yet? And if you're as fascinated by this as I am, subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss our next dive into the mysteries of our past. The story of humanity is far from over, and trust me, you won't believe what we uncover next. See you in the next one.